Previously on Something Who. Welcome to the podcast where we've taken something old, our viewing of the Daleks Masterplan 1 and 3 reconstructions, and now are going to compare it with something new, our viewing of the newly returned episodes, and add something borrowed. Well, I mean, we've been chatting with other people, so we're bound to have absorbed some of their thoughts to make Something Who. So hello, I'm Richard, and if not hot on the heels of the release of these episodes, we're perhaps still ahead of our usual lukewarm takes on new Doctor Who. It would be hard to overstate how obsessed we all are by missing episodes of Doctor Who. So last week's arrival on iPlayer and then the screening on Saturday has left us abuzz. And following Something Who 125, when we discussed the episodes based on recons and talked about what we were missing by not being able to see them, we'll see whether we got it right and how much we've learned by seeing the stories. So, without further ado, let me introduce some other missing episode aficionados. And first off, it's Omnirumor cataloguer, missing episodes expert and beloved Big Finish writer, it's Paul.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us, yes.
And then we have scientist and astronomy writer, it's Giles.
Hello, yeah, we've reconvened the Galactic Council, but the one that looks like a Christmas tree has gone missing, appropriately.
Yeah.
Let's see if he ever returns.
Am I here yet?
Gavin!
Oh, yes, you.
Hello. It's a delegate from the Outer Galaxies.
I was enjoying talking about you, and now I've got to stop.
Moving on then to Devil's Planet, episode 3 of the Daleks Masterplan. I keep saying Dalek Masterplan, but then it's never actually on screen, is it? I've watched these episodes 3 times for this podcast. The first time as a recon, the second time on iPlayer. Just didn't want anything to get in the way, so I just watched all 3 episodes one after the other for fun. And then once again, more recently, so I could jot down a few thoughts and ideas for this recording. This one in particular, on the kind of middle viewing, zipped by. It just sort of felt so full of incident and so rich. Yeah, I mean, if every episode of Black and White Doctor Who was like this, then I'd be absolutely delighted. It was probably the biggest uplift from seeing it on recon to actually the experience of watching it compared with episode 1. I think Giles has already said that, but anyway, I'm saying it again.
And even those opening moments, I mean, who no one in a million years would have guessed that was that Hartnell came on in full mask, and I always just thought I would have assumed he'd just drop the costume on the way back to the ship, and
like the way they
clambered on board in normal Doctor garb.
Because he's in Doctor garb in the recon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Nobody gave it a moment's thought.
Mm.
Some very nice takeoff acting with the spar.
Mm.
I like that. It's more convincing than their second takeoff from Desperate later on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but they're more committed at this early point in the recording session.
And we get that lovely little visual effects.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dropped in with the spar takeoff, and again,
It's not called hyperdrive, or it's got a name, but I can't remember what it is.
It has, hasn't it?
Something space. It's not warp space.
It's something space. They refer to
ultra space.
Yes, ultra space. Well, if I had to travel around the ultra space, I think the Spar 740. Yeah.
So ultra space is not unlike the Doctor Who title sequence when you're travelling through it.
Yeah.
Those two chuntering about their desired mode of transport reminds me of those 2 stormtroopers in Star Wars that are going on about the new T-16 or whatever. It's clearly inspired by this moment.
Yeah.
It's another of those bits, isn't it? And you think Douglas Adams must have seen this, and as well.
The Dalek voices. I mean, I've heard. I've heard Nick Briggs talking about this now. Whatever they've done with the ring modulator on this, it's absolutely what you'd hope a Dalek would sound like in episode 3.
Yep. Yes, I'm glad you said that because I thought so, and I'm not. I'm hardly an expert. I normally notice when they're wrong rather than when they're gloriously right. Is this the best? Is this the best they've been so far? Like, because I mean, even in the
I think so.
I mean, we all know very, very broadly the Daleks. They're quite good, but not what they would later be. Dalek Invasion of Earth. They're atrocious. Like Chase, what are they like in the Chase?
Moderate,
middling.
And so, I mean, do we think they accidentally turned it up to 11 here and then decided they liked it and stuck with it? Or
I mean, they're brilliant in Power, which of course is later. But yes, this is possibly the best to this point.
Super.
And then I think they're probably in their peak in Evil, I think, and they're good again.
They've forgotten how to do it again by the time they come back.
Yeah.
Just a bit. So, and we get bonus Peter Hawkins, do we? With his Mark Corey impersonation.
Yes.
Was that? I'll take I'll take your word for that. Yeah.
I do like, the visuals on the Dalek control panels. So I was just trying to work out, because we're so used to them actually being like clips of the title sequence, and in this we've got this different effect of like this looks a bit like Star Wars hyperspace mixed with the spar, kind of like more of a tunnel sort of rushing away, beams coming at you thing instead of the more usual howl around.
Yeah.
I was trying to work out is there a space versus time thing? Because at this point they're talking about intercepting something through space, and then do we only see where do we see the other style of panels? Is it only on the Dalek time ship in the Chase? Is that why they use the howl around, because it's intended to be a reference to time travel, sort of in the way that it implicitly was in An Unearthly Child and beyond.
Also, I mean, was the big space? Sorry, I'm changing subject. Was the lovely big circular space window in the spa a complete surprise? It seems to have been from what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's lovely.
Is it in the script?
Panel and everything.
Ooh.
Because it doesn't need to be there, does it? In which case, if Kuzik stuck it in because he liked it, and then Camfield certainly made good use of it.
Yeah, I mean, they're pointing at Desperus, aren't they, at some point in the dialogue?
Oh, that's true.
But, I mean, it doesn't need to be so gloriously big.
And what about that very nice arty stroke characterful moment of Katrina staring out at the wild blue yonder?
Have we all seen that comparison shot showing how the camera move of her reaching up to the stars out of the window, panning from her hand to her face, is reversed in episode 4 when it pans from her face to her hand as she reaches for the door control that results in her flying out into the aforementioned stars.
Why on earth would a director go to that much trouble when not one person in 1,000 would notice?
I'm glad incredible.
Is that something we've got? Is that a bit that we've?
Yes, it's the Blue Peter clip of her as
that's in the Blue Peter clip.
Yeah,
Katerina, not that switch.
God, they need to put the bloody Blue Peter clip onto iPlayer as episode 4. Yeah, they can at least give us that bit. And then I'm going to go rummaging around to try and find
I've seen some edgelord idiots on the internet trying to pick holes in it. Plot hole! It's the same people, actually, who complain that Katerina is a useless companion because she doesn't know anything. Who are also complaining that she learns how an airlock would work very quickly. Now, which clever person was it said to me on Saturday? It was Gav, wasn't it? Was it?
I'm not sure.
All the business with keys and locks and doors is set up gradually throughout the first 3 episodes, seemingly to provide us with not so much an explanation, a justification for that moment, but maybe thematic, or it's something you don't quite notice consciously until it becomes relevant.
From a more pragmatic, no, that wasn't me. I
was very drunk. Sorry,
not to my knowledge.
I think it might be. Ollie Waite mentioned it to me, but I think he attributed it possibly to Toby.
So I talked about the fact that the key, the very ostentatious talking about the key, is simply so that Brett, who is listening around the corner, can be alerted to the fact that the TARDIS has a key, etc.
That's okay. That's okay, but it's not such a good point. It's
no,
the other one.
But the other good point is that the Doctor teaches her how to open the door of the spa.
Yeah.
And then he's also then the one who fails to shut the door, and he's also then the one who sends her to check that the door is still open.
So I'm not surprised he didn't torture himself about that as much as Davison with Adric.
Yeah, but then the actual the final shock of the episode for me was the staging of that final. I know, jumping ahead was the staging of that final bit, and the fact that what's his name? Which one is it? Jensen?
Kirkson.
Kid Jensen.
Kirkson. That he's actually made it inside the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is he the one that's attacked by the screamers?
Yes.
Kirkson's the only one who's not electrocuted.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he makes it onto. He's the one that makes it onto the ship.
I'd never realised that. That's odd. I thought he was dead.
Hadn't picked up on that because
it struck me as being quite coherent so the other two get zapped. He gets left behind and is hiding from the screamers. They make a reference to he's probably run off back to the cave. It's a shame he's not with us. And then I didn't expect it to be him that got on board.
So because
he obviously wasn't dead because they barely touched him. It's a flesh wound.
So because he is separated from them, and then he is waylaid by the screamers, and the other two are zapped and presumably scurry back into the night. Yeah, because he hasn't been electrocuted. He's the one who can then make it to the spa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he is quite desperate and overwrought, isn't he? It's been established, so it's surprising he's.
The whole staging of that and the fact that he actually comes through the door.
Yeah, true.
And the Doctor has sent, so I kind of view it as vindicating, what's been the long held thing about, the Doctor has to, the Doctor should take the blame because, he comes out, Katarina's heading that way, but he actually comes out into the main control room of the ship, which I did not expect at all. I imagine the setup was she opens the inner airlock door to go and check the outer one, or something like that, and he's lurking in there.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
I need to watch this Blue Peter clip now.
I remember babbling to somebody about how, even though they're very nice, these little bits that set up Katarina's knowledge of airlocks and keys and doors, it's a fairly simple rewrite from the placeholder companion stroke Vicky that was there beforehand. You don't need a lot. It would have meant that, considering she doesn't actually say all that much, it would have meant that it was a fairly dull part for Vicky, an established character, whereas changing it to Katarina means every line counts, really. It all contributes towards building up our impression of this character. So is that all tosh?
I think.
Yeah, and as Toby pointed out at Riverside, you got Katarina's line to the Doctor about how she feels safe with him.
Yeah.
He's really rubbing it in, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it makes sense because this is what he and Wiles wanted to do, I guess. Be really horrible. But
I think it's lovely. I think she's great. It's completely revolutionized my thinking about her as I didn't really have any opinion on her as an actor because we hadn't seen enough of her to know, but like the companion, the character, and I think it's great. And I think it is entirely deliberate. But the beauty of it is that essentially it's a fake out that this is going to be the new companion. We're going to get some nice character development. She's already getting to grips with things and getting into it. as it were. Was by episode 3,
Yep.
And they
she's
really
supposed to be
play
taking
how-
more the idea.
how avuncular Hartnell is to her.
And lovely relationship with Hartnell.
Yeah.
One feels slightly
And then
sorry for William Hartnell if it's true that the other actors didn't know week by week what was in store for them. It seems unlikely, considering that she filmed her death first, that he didn't know. But Purvis, Peter was trying to tell us that everything was coming as a complete surprise. But I mean, yes, it does seem like if that were true, it's a rotten trick to play on him, because he's putting all that effort into building up yet another relationship.
Yeah.
I thought my hot take that Katerina was like the biggest revelation in these episodes was really going to stand out. But judging from everybody I spoke to on Saturday, that's all anybody thought, really.
Well, I mean, whichever genius it was who suggested that we look at the 4th episode of The Mythmakers a few months ago means that actually we've seen the whole pretty much of Katerina quite recently. And I guess that, I mean, certainly from my point of view, it helped me to sort of see the trajectory before watching these two.
Which genius was it again? Was it me, or did I go on about the Celestial Toymaker?
Well, you certainly picked that one. Did you pick both? I can't remember now.
I have no idea.
It wasn't me.
If it was me, then I happily accept.
Yeah, well,
Toby
it wasn't by Lucarotti, so it wasn't Giles. And it didn't have Daleks in it, so it wasn't Gav. So it must, by process of elimination, have been you.
Bloody hell. It's almost like I knew. But unlike Gav, I didn't, actually. Yeah. Was it Toby who articulated just how much she appears in Mythmakers? Because it's become common. It's become a bit of a commonplace that she only appears at the very end in the last scene, and it's not true. The fact that just the last episode is bad enough, I suppose. A bit of a pointer to it being a.
Well, I picked up on that they cut her main dialogue with Vicky from the script.
In which she talks about her death, her upcoming death.
Yeah. It's a bit of a shame.
So yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes, how again it's unnecessarily cleverly written. Stuff in Masterplan, because when you watch it the first time, you're thinking, "Oh, what nice development she's getting." Well, wonder where this is going. And when you watch it, knowing where it ends, it's full of foreshadowing. Yeah, it depends. I mean, nobody would have really thought. Not the sort of foreshadowing of I'm going to die in the Mythmakers, because that's nobody would have taken that literally, but the dramatic irony. Yeah. I feel safe with you and all that. No, it's just an extraordinary arc, isn't it? And she's terrific. I don't want to get into that whole discussion about this production team's feelings on companions from the past, because this clearly was not a mistake. Katerina, there's no way that Katerina, just looking at the text, not taking into account behind the scenes production decisions, but there's no way they planned her to be an ongoing companion and then panicked after writing 4 episodes. But the fact that they appear to have made the same decision the second time with Anne Chaplet does make one wonder. But the fact that this is clearly not what happened here makes me wonder about the Anne Chaplet thing as well. That perhaps they were never that stupid.
This is Lisa Snowden and the deep fat fryer in Spooks, isn't it? It's the statement of intent. Statement of intent kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of way ahead of its time. But I mean, I suppose a new producer taking over and making their mark by killing somebody off has been around since the Archers at least. Happens in all the soaps around this time. But it's not. I was going to say it's not quite what happens here, because they bring in a new character to kill them off. But of course, what they wanted to do was come in and make their mark by getting rid of Hartnell. But in which case, it would have been the same.
It's funny though, this idea that if you bring a character from the past in, then it's an encumbrance because you've got to explain everything to them. Because obviously, you just write around it, or it wasn't much of a problem with Jamie, because you just default to him kind of going, oh, right, okay, and getting on with it. But also, you have the same problem with characters from the future, as they're constantly explaining things to Zoe. Everyday items from the 21st century. You've got to tell Zoe from the future what a kilt is, or
funnily enough, it's an endless and easily accessible supply of character moments and or humour. If all your characters come from the place and time that the program's set, that the stories are set, then you're either going to have a very bland dialogue or going to have a much harder time inventing things for them to talk about. So I don't know. I feel it's the sort of thing that non-writers say. So when I do see an actual writer say it, then it doesn't give you confidence, to say the least.
But also, in Doctor Who, the majority of the time, the TARDIS is turning up in completely unusual and extraordinary places that have to be explained to absolutely everyone. So you've got Rose Tyler. You've got Rose Tyler from the present day turning up in all of these places, and the Doctor has to spell out the bleeding obvious, because to her, to us, we are not aware of the 51st century. So yes, you have to.
Well, exactly. It's a useful narrative function of whatever. I wonder whether that's something that that whole thing. It smacks to me of the old people being told things at conventions that they then become convinced are true. People being told things by fans that they then become convinced of the reality.
A feedback loop.
I feel like given what we just said about Katerina, I think the idea that anyone really thought, oh, she's not working out, and that's what you'd facilely watch it if you had a basic, a misunderstanding of television where you were literally watching it from week to week, didn't know anything about production, and thought, well, this character's having difficulty. They're having to explain really basic stuff to her all the time.
They have to explain Katic power is not lethal. And of course, everyone knows Katic power is not lethal, so they're just explaining it.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, so I reckon that's one of those things.
In this, I love Zephon now.
Zephon.
He's got a nice little character moment in episode 2, which we're not talking about so much, but nonetheless, the arrogance is foreshadowed. I'm just going to muck about here for a bit longer because I don't, I'm not going to go back straight away. And then which leaves him then open to get mugged. But he's still, he's not lost none of
Biovarga plant.
Yes, he's lost none of his ebullience in episode 3. And I love his talking himself into an early grave. Mrs. Smith this evening was underimpressed by his seaweed head, but I have to say I liked his shaking acting.
I really like the seaweed head.
I liked his seaweed head.
I mean, it's it's
very advanced for the time. Well, not advanced. What am I talking about?
It's nice, isn't it? The whole thing is a monster that's pretty well sketched out, both physically and emotionally, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a bit of a prick, though.
Yeah. I love that whole sequence, the choreography of it all, with Chen sort of delicately stepping out of the firing line, and then the Daleks closing in.
Yes.
And then I love that last bit where he just goes over and and then the camera pans over and there he is. I'm just studying these. I'm just studying the consoles here and the readings.
Yeah. But there's one of those in every office, isn't there? So there's bound to be one in every bunch of delegates plotting to take over the universe.
Yes.
The revelation of Zephon's big old seaweed face just opens up so many possibilities for me in universe. It raises the tantalizing prospect that Fear from the Deep was actually invasion of the Zephons. And then clearly he's related to the Scaroth of the Jaggeroth, which means the Jaggeroth come from Galaxy 5. I mean, I hope whoever does these reference books is on top of this. Well, if Russell, they're as similar as the Ood and the Sensorized. So if Russell's still in charge of the program, which he isn't entirely his own fault, I'm sure he would have brought back the Jaggeroth and the Zephons. He's not a Zephon, is he? What's he from? No, don't tell me.
Master of the Fifth Galaxy, isn't he?
Master. No, tell me what he's got. He's from another planet, isn't he? Specifically in Galaxy. Is he?
Is he?
In episode 2. We'll come back to that. He says,
am I right or wrong? Gav would know.
I don't know him.
Yes.
What?
Yes, you're right or wrong.
Yeah, I knew you. And that's what you meant.
Those are the only two options. Yeah. So you didn't rise to it. Yeah.
I don't remember him mentioning another planet name, apart from the other planets, the Masters of Salation and Baius. There is another name mentioned, but I can't remember. So, the embodiment, Gris, and all of that. But
that's backstory, isn't it?
Yes.
What's that? Oh, yeah. That's Chen mentions that, doesn't he?
He does.
There's someone who's tried to lead a coup against Zeph. I don't know. It's just too much world building. I have my headache. So he's very confident.
The planet Phaisar and the embodiment Gris have both at different times tried to depose you.
So he's very confident that Salation and Baius would leave with him. But they don't. So he was wrong about that as well, wasn't he? I love that. Even in death, he's still failing. Julian Sherrier.
Yeah. Name to conjure with.
It's quite nice on the spar when they're looking at the terranium. You sort of see that the famous photo almost happening on screen. It doesn't quite come together, but nearly does. And there's some more lovely Hartnell close-ups and more great Dalek choreography. You've already mentioned that, Gav, but there's several moments in this where they just seem to know what they're doing, and they're always moving as well. They're not sort of just sort of plonked on the floor and with flashing lights. They're forward and back, side to side, whatever.
Yeah.
Gavin, I know you've talked at length.
Hello.
About Terry Nation's idiosyncratic understanding of the movement of the celestial spheres and bodies.
Oh, here we go.
Now, is there any justification for the fact that everyone refers to the solar system as if it's the only one, and rather than a solar system being a thing that they all come from, presumably?
No. So
I don't know why I asked you rather than Giles. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Can I throw in my? No, this is my science fictional.
Nobody's saying exoplanet. Otherwise, I will.
If it's all right, Gav. Yeah.
Go.
Sorry, G.
I'm just going to go with the fact that Sol 3 in Mutter's spiral is what the Time Lords know Earth as, and so that implies to me that Sol is the name of the Sol has somehow become the universal name of the sun.
Oh.
And so, therefore, not everyone has a solar system, because the solar system is very specifically the planets that orbit the star Sol.
Very nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey,
why that is then considered to be the dominant bit of the Milky Way? That's I don't know.
Well, it's actually there's a bit of inconsistency between the way Nation conceived it, and so in Terry Nation's draft, he's no more clear, but he writes different things. So Chen is Guardian of the Galaxy. He's Galactic President. But I think Nation swaps backwards and forwards with Chen's position as well. But then once Nation settles on Chen being Guardian of the Solar System, and that the other delegates are mentioning galaxies, it seems to be Donald Tosh who decides to double down on that and make something of it. So Tosh adds the dialogue where Zephon says, well, we're all in charge of galaxies and you're only in charge of one solar system.
Yeah.
And Chen says, well, being in charge of one solar system is not very good, and I want to rule a galaxy. And they acknowledge that the solar system is more influential than your average star system in the Milky Way. So it's nice that they're trying to build a bit of galactic politics in some small way.
And I think with what you've said before, looking at the dialogue again, all the stuff about that, there's this implication of these are all. If you look into it and try and map it onto reality, there is this implication that they're all sort of small players from because they refer to outer galaxies on several occasions and so on.
Yeah.
So the idea that these are all the little satellite galaxies of the Milky Way
Yeah.
Potentially, or planning to gang up with the Daleks to move into the big time. It seems reasonably coherent.
I will finish my YouTube video on it one day.
Do we think with a little more forethought, it would have been good if we could have had Chen in Mission to the Unknown? Because I thought earlier when we were talking about, we get almost an episode of setup where with the good guy persona before the rug is pulled.
Yeah.
So one more episode of that might have made it more of a twist. And also, I mean, there is the slight discrepancy between his non-appearance as one of the delegates. Is there dialogue to say that they're all assembled in Mission to the Unknown? Is that the issue?
Yeah. Well, do they say now everyone from the outer galaxies is here? We can begin.
Oh, I see. I don't know where you'd fit him in, but
I've got.
Is this just me trying to put the Emperor into Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope? I do have this habit of trying to. Oh well.
I've got a silly pet theory for this, which is given we've got all these delegates swapping names and sometimes changing appearances, so different beings appear to represent the same galaxy at different stages in, or at least in between Mission to the Unknown and Galaxy 4. Galaxy 4 was that coming? Mission to the Unknown and DMP. My new pet theory is that Maverick Chen's arrival is the reason he's the replacement for Centriol, and Centriol is the original Earth delegate. The old Christmas tree.
Nice.
Sentient Christmas trees can also represent Earth.
Yeah.
By the year 4000.
Yeah, so is 2000 years enough time for them to evolve to be completely sentient?
With a bit of
he could just be a Venusian in a environment suit.
Yes, yeah, could be.
When the Doctor asks for a tape deck or whatever he asks for, if you've got a ghetto blaster or something that I can play this tape on, I found it by a skeleton, and I feel it might be useful. It feels to me like he's paraphrasing almost all his dialogue around that section. But anyway, when Nick Courtney produces the tape machine,
pulls out a slightly shoddy drawer. I don't know.
It says how convenient. The Doctor says how convenient. Is that Tosh being? I mean, I don't know. It stands out a bit at that moment. It seems a bit meta to me. What do you?
All the magnetic tape stuff is Tosh.
Yeah, isn't it just
the skeleton? The skeleton and everything is not in the original draft.
Oh, that why?
So does that mean Terry Nation just left the whole thing hanging?
Yeah,
but it's all pointless, isn't it? I mean, it's nice, I suppose, to tie it up with Mission to the Unknown, but it doesn't tell us anything we didn't already know.
It doesn't tell us anything. It also doesn't tell the other characters anything, because is that right?
Yeah.
Is it like Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark? Completely irrelevant.
Because Brett's mission was to warn Earth about the Daleks, and then having listened to an audio tape, they decide they need to warn Earth about the Daleks.
Yeah.
So going back to Mission to the Unknown.
So much for that tight plotting.
The dialogue line is, with the arrival of our ally Malfa, we are enough. So they're not necessarily, it's not everyone there, but they're enough. Okay. On the other hand, they do say that some beings...
We've got quorates, yeah.
Some beings have landed...
The Latin to show off.
Yeah, some beings have landed from planet Earth, hostile beings from the centre of the solar system. So it doesn't seem as if they were necessarily expecting somebody from the Earth to be on their side, but you never know. Maybe they know it. Maybe they know it's not Chen, and anyone who isn't Chen is likely to be against them. So it's not completely inconsistent.
Super job.
Chen does not have the authority.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Jackie, what's the name? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
You've changed my Doctor Who watching forever, Gav, because I've written down in a note here. It's one of those control panels, isn't it? On the spar.
Yes. So you got the control panel in the background.
Yeah.
But you've also got the freezer machine, which is in the Space Museum, Power of the Daleks, Mind Robber, originally in... They Came from Beyond Space? No. What is it? Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, Nice big panel in the background.
Yeah, I mean, normally I couldn't give a monkeys about that kind of stuff, but you've got me seeing things now. Yeah,
everyone's got to be on the lookout forever now.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's a nice moment as well where Peter Purves is smiling as the Doctor's berating Brett, and it could, I mean, that could be a Stephen character moment, or it could just be Purvis. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It just feels like a nice moment of levity anyway.
And then about 14 minutes in, we finally get to Desperate.
Well, quite.
Mm.
I mean, I hate to admit it, because it just reinforces our listeners' correct assumption that I don't pay attention to anything. But it wasn't until watching episode 3 that I realised just how little Desperate there is. I mean, you'd think it would be obvious from a recon or from the audio, but something about seeing it and the fact that there's really 3 setups and for 3 scenes, and that's it. It's really hammers it home. It's all very, very claustrophobic, isn't it? And I don't know if that's just because they quite sensibly didn't spend too much on the sets for this. So I guess because they didn't want to fall into that Keys and Marinus trap again. But we've got a cave, reasonably nice cave, and then we've got a little tiny bit of whatever it is. Is it jungle again? Or no, swamp that they're crawling through. And then very, very, very tightly shot bit of the ship. I mean, that the cave looks fine, but that confrontation at the end, it's all done in, almost in close-up, isn't it? Because there's so little. There's one leg of a spaceship and a bit of swamp. And then in the middle of it, we get that lovely landscape. Was anybody expecting anything?
Ooh.
Do we know that was there?
No, that was a complete surprise.
Not at all. Audible gasps went around the auditorium, and then suddenly popped up. Which
wasn't necessary, but really sold. It was worth doing, wasn't it? Because it really sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
in sense of what we'd
it.
seen before and what we were going to see afterwards. Was that? I assume it was a film insert. Was it?
Yeah, film insert.
So what would it have been, do we think? A matte painting with some practical torch. 3 people with practical torches, and then inlaid into the...
Yeah, I think the torches would have been filmed separately as a white element on a plain black background, and then using an overlay.
I should have said overlay rather than inlay, but it's too late now. I said it.
It's too late now. You've gone too far. So all the black would have been transparent, and the white would have just appeared on top of the painting in a mix. But it's so effective and so simple, and just extraordinary to see a big alien vista in this day and age. In that day and age, really opens it up for a man who doesn't do wide shots. Camfield's always tight, so you'd never. He doesn't like wide shots, and consequently he never reveals any of the broader problems with the scale of these sets. And I think that's one of the problems with Richard Martin loves a wide shot, and you end up seeing the corners of the studios and the edges of rocks, and you just become
and there's no mystery, and you suddenly know exactly how big it is rather than it being left to the imagination.
And by staying tight on everything, Camfield's just hiding all of the limitations. So this enormous, expansive alien landscape just.
I mean, it's partly why that cave scene feels like Tribe of Gum Part 2, because I think Boris Hussain directs in a similar way, doesn't he? Tribe. But it's boiled down from 3 episodes to 3 minutes, which I guess some people would say they would have liked first time round.
Just before we leave the cave behind, there's as if Camfield wasn't ambitious enough. He's got a glass mat. He's got a matte painting in studio, which I think might be unprecedented in the history of classic Who in studio. But I need to check this. Because we see them on location a lot, particularly in the 80s. But I can't think of another one in videotaping. And it's the shot where the convicts come. It's when they come out of the cave and Kirkson says, "Oh, wait for me," or words to that effect.
Yeah.
And the matte shot puts in all the undergrowth up the sides of the pictures to. But
that's a matte, right?
Yeah, I guess it hides the extent of the studio. I think it allows them to have a a longer shot without revealing the sets that are either side of the cave.
Yeah.
So it's painted over, I think, in black and then painted on with branches. But that's off the top of my head. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm just having a look at it now. Yes, it's on the left and right. Yeah. What? That's extraordinary.
It's crazy,
Good
isn't
grief. It? What a blimey. And what's it covering? Just getting in an extra bit of
I think
depth.
I think it allows them to pull the camera out further.
Oh,
but
yeah. Wow. Well, I'm buggered.
Yeah.
So really, this is probably one of the most economically realised locations ever for the amount of times on the screen. They've used every trick in the book to make it not look awful. So, I mean, that was brilliant, but possibly the least exciting for my money of the unexpected reveals was the D's on the backs of their costumes. I'm not sure quite what that adds. They might as well have upside down arrows all over them.
I quite like, in terms of the world building, the fact that they refer to the fact there are others. There are like other groups out there.
Yeah.
That little element of it, especially with the coupled with the wide shot, it's kind of with that painted shot, it starts to give you an idea of what life is like, more of an idea of what life is like on this hellhole. Yeah.
Right. Science fiction experts. Did Terry Nation invent the prison planet because he clearly liked them, or was it a thing before 1965? I assume six. Sorry.
While you're thinking about that, on the point of prison planets, right?
Yes.
So do we think that the whole planet is a prison, and so these three are just unlucky to be stuck in a swamp and a cave, and maybe there's actually some kind of nice, high-rise flats and like penthouse suites that some people are living in.
Yeah, the guards. It's like Space Australia, isn't it, really? It's just a cheap prison on the cheap because you don't have to build any walls, because where the hell are you going to go?
It says Devil's Island in the script. It's the Devil's Island of space.
They haven't started bizarre religion. So I don't know, unlike in Cygnus Alpha.
Oh, I thought you meant Australia.
So I don't know if that means they've been there not as long, not as many generations as the Federation prisoners, or perhaps there just wasn't enough time to explore that. And they've not found anything sharp enough to cut hair, except the knife.
They've got one knife, but you need two knives next to each other to make scissors. So until they find a second knife, they can't cut their hair.
Yeah, you could hold on to a bit of it and saw it like that, but I
suppose so.
It's a lot of work, isn't it? Now, how many women do we see?
They're waiting for a convict with your vision in hairdressing.
There's seems to be one woman in the background. How many did you spot?
I definitely only spotted one, but I think there's meant to be several.
They're all...
I think there's two actresses mentioned as extras.
There's someone on the left. I can't tell her. Well, she hasn't got a beard, so maybe it is. Maybe that's a woman as well. Because none of them are looking their best. But yes, based on the logic that they don't have a pair of scissors as well, and they haven't thought through what they
probably don't have a hairdryer or cosmetics. No, there are, according to the all-knowing artificial intelligence, several examples of prison planets prior to 1965 in sci-fi.
Excellent, good. Yeah, well, of course, that's what I want to hear, because I don't want
written by Terry Nation.
I don't want Doctor Who to have any original ideas in it. My Doctor Who is something that synthesises the best from other pre-existing media.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at a Stack Exchange where actual humans try to bring this up. There's a novelette by Murray Leinster, published in Thrilling Wonder Stories in 1946, which has a planetary penal colony in it, for definite.
Well, there you go.
Now.
Might be others. 1943, Prison in Space, a novelette by Henry A. Norton, published in Amazing Stories.
So was that the basis for the abandoned Troughton story? Which, despite being called Prison in Space, was actually the worm that turned.
Yes, definitely.
Fraser Hines laments the loss after this day because it involved sexy women in short skirts and.
But did he actually know about
spanking. Did he what?
Did he actually know about it, though? I mean,
Who
did he
knows?
not just did he not just die in the production office?
Well, he claims he did, but everyone lies, don't they? I
Yes.
have one last thing to say.
Super.
And then I'm going to go to bed and let you lot carry on. There's very little Desperus in this. It's got an episode title to itself, but it's only in half the episode. Our heroes barely interact with the story of the convicts. They don't speak to them in this episode, do they? They just kill. Sorry, they just electrocute the couple.
Stun.
Maybe deliberately. There's very little overlap. And then they're off again. It's just a quick stop. Would it always have been this quick, do we think? Just one of many vignettes like the chase? Or is it just here to set up the death of Katerina and or whichever companion is off at the beginning of part 4? Is it just a plot device, a convict ex machina discuss? I was wondering about it on Saturday because it was revealed that somebody was implying that Nation wrote these episodes one by one and implied that he'd already written the first 3 episodes when he was told to write out Katerina at the beginning of part 4. And my first thought was not, that sounds implausible on a practical level, but it seems unlikely that he would have written episode 3 the way he did if he didn't know that's where it was going. Script person? If you're still awake after all that, that was long-winded one of Vanessa's stories, wasn't it?
So,
shame Toby wasn't in here to rush me to the punchline. Carry on.
At the start of episode 4 in Nation's script, is it 4 or 3? Damn it, I don't know. 3. Oh, you've caught me on the hop. So, I could check, but that would take minutes more. At the start, I think it's the start of 4, Nation says, I don't know who this new companion is that you're going to kill off. So I'm going to carry on using the name Vicky. So Nation, knowing it's not really Vicky, at the start of episode 4, writes the death of that companion flying out the airlock. And then he puts a note in his script saying, you know more about this character than me. I'll leave you to write a speech about her being the daughter of the gods or whatever. So I think...
Oh, he knew that then?
Yeah, I think he knew a bit, and then he used his ignorance as an excuse not to bother doing any character development.
Nice.
But what I can say, his synopsis for episode 3 is as follows. And he wrote this up top. So there's a synopsis for all 12 episodes delivered with his draft script of episode 1.
He put it in an envelope, shoved it through Donald Tosh's letterbox and went off on holiday.
Correct.
And it's actually just one sheet of typewritten notes and padded out with some newspaper clippings.
Exactly that. His synopsis says, episode 3, the planet onto which they crash is none other than the Hell Planet, the Devil's Island of the Space Age, a penal colony where the worst criminals in the galaxy are sent to serve their life sentences. There are no guards here, for none are needed. The planet is escape-proof. Doctor Who needs time to repair the space yacht. He gains this by turning the criminals against each other, pointing out that only so many will be able to leave, and etc. The Daleks also land on the planet in pursuit of Doctor Who, and after adventures and difficulties, our party managed to involve the Daleks and the criminals in an out-and-out battle, under cover of which they make their escape and head once more for New Washington, Earth.
Was he under the impression this was a special feature-length episode?
So in Nation's original version, we got the Daleks and the convicts fighting each other out so that the Doctor can leave. So I think this is another episode in his big space adventure weekly Flash Gordon serial and not set up as a way to eject whoever into space. Because in this synopsis,
it's tantalising.
It's Vicky all the way till episode 12. Nobody dies.
So you disappeared for a bit there. Oh no!
Oh, sorry. In the synopsis, it's Vicky all the way to episode 12, and nobody dies.
Right.
Yeah.
So Devil's Planet is definitely not set up to kill Katerina or Vicky.
Right. That was me making logical assumptions based on what we were presented with, and I was hoisted by my own petard again.
But it's a good question, and I'm glad that I had the answer.
Yeah, I'm glad you.
So good content, everyone.
This is why you listen to this podcast. Can you imagine those other gits getting to another matter like this?
And answers. Phenomenal work.
Oh, can you imagine me on a different podcast when we didn't have people of the quality of Giles and Gav to answer my asinine questions? That'd be horrific, wouldn't it?
I do need to pull you up on the fact that you referred to the convicts as being electrocuted.
What were they uted?
Well, catic power is not lethal.
Is it a real thing?
Mm.
Well, it's in the dialogue of the story that catic power is non-lethal.
Mm.
Yes.
An electrocution, as you know,
you think by definition
means to death.
Yes, it's the
execution by
execution bit. It's
execution
Latin,
by
isn't it?
electricity.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they were electrified, but they were not electrocuted.
Yeah.
It's electrifying.
Exactly that.
Just like the
voltage.
Daleks with their execute rather than exterminate.
Yes, that's right.
That's nice. Yeah. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's actually rather
More
scarier.
powerful,
and I don't know if that's just because we've got so used to exterminate.
Well,
maybe it hadn't become a cliche at this point.
They never said it in the 60s, did they? More or less. I mean, it was only it was a more modern cliche, I think, from the 70s.
It's like elementary idea of Watson almost.
Yeah.
No, I think they said it quite a lot in the 60s. They didn't say it a lot in Serial B, but it did become a cliche by Dalek Invasion of Earth, I think.
The whole electrocute thing is a kind of modern imprecision. It's a bit like strangling, which also means killing somebody, whereas throttling is what you do if you just sort of, half doing it. But these days people talk about strangulation these days as if it's, just mild throttling.
Well, is there not a difference between strangling and strangulation? Strangling and strangulating?
Well,
I mean, where do you stop with this?
Well, before they die. You have to release.
Is that what I'm doing wrong?
Yes.
Thank you.
What else do we have on this magnificent episode before we start talking a little bit more about the context?
Why do we think we already had 2 clips from this? I feel like I asked this last time. You might assume they were from both using the same episode of Blue Peter. That's not true, is it? Or is it? It is.
No.
It is true that they weren't, or it isn't true that they were.
The first one.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
And the second one. They're both true.
I don't know. How do you know what I meant? Because I don't know what I meant.
No, neither are from the same. It's true that neither are, but it's also not true that both aren't.
They're both quite odd clips to excise for anywhere, let alone Blue Peter, aren't they? Any thoughts on why they were so keen to use Devil's Planet to get material from?
No.
Maybe it's what they had.
Because...
Well, if you're trying to get a clip of Peter Purvis, what else have you got at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
well,
could be a simple...
You say at this point.
Who knows what they are? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the early 70s, I mean, it depends. You just grab something out of the Enterprises or wherever they got it from, Film Library.
Why did people think they had episode 3 in the early 70s? What were the theories on why it was there for Blue Peter to use? Because I was planning to run through the ebb and flow, the constant seesawing and up and down of the status of Daleks Masterplan in the fan consciousness. It's
Wikipedia quoting, I think, the complete history says that Enterprise was offering the 11-part version for overseas sale up until January 1973.
Right. So they would have had a set of prints that they were offering for sale.
And
Is that the
it's
assumption,
70
or might they have just had the negatives and were prepared to strike a new set if they?
Well, that's
it's just that if they had a set, if they had an entire set of prints ready for sale until in the early 70s, and we were assuming. Oh, I was going to say we're assuming that the Australian ones were, but we hadn't been returned yet. But I suppose the assumption would have been that they had been returned and they were trying to sell them somewhere else. But could they have sold it anywhere else, bearing in mind that the Australians didn't buy it? For goodness sake, I once did an entire podcast on this.
Well,
they could have sold it to Canada, couldn't they?
Right.
Giles and Paul, you were in the room when Paul Vanezis settled this.
Oh, well, I know he did now. I know he has settled it now. I was wondering what people thought, not just before Saturday, but for the last 20 or 30 years. If you see what I mean.
No.
I thought from what I'd read in Wiped, but it is getting on for a decade since I read it, that they just assumed they pulled a couple of things out of the BBC film library for Blue Peter, and it was just what happened to be there.
But
hang on, I'm confused. What's your question? We know they had episode 3 because they used it to take these clips out of.
Yes, I was asking what people thought the source for this episode was and why.
It's the Daleks Masterplan episode 3.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah.
That didn't really work. I mean, obviously, it would have had to have some truth.
I've used myself.
Truth in it. No.
October 1971.
No, it didn't work.
Blue Peter ordered up this episode from wherever.
Yeah.
To use the clip. So it does beg a question of why before we now knew what we now know, why anyone thought that the only copy might still be languishing in a Bond store in Australia.
Yeah.
If people thought that was really the only copy, the only film copy that was ever made, why did people think? Why was it a going possibility that it had all stayed in Australia somehow? If we know that there were copies, around in 71 and 73.
That's a good point. Why has no one ever asked that before?
Well, that's what I said.
This is what. I'm just rephrasing.
Yeah, but you said it in a way that I understood.
Giles dumbed it down. He's good at making
a career off.
He writes popular science books. He's good at taking the work of geniuses and making it palatable to the lower orders.
That's a really interesting point, Giles. Why has no one ever thought of this before? I don't know. Can anyone remember?
Well, it's sort of like you say, I think, Gav, in that given that you've got to have episodes 3 and 4 in order to make the clips for Blue Peter, then you just sort of assume that they've got them and you don't worry too much about where they came from. But I suppose if you're tracing the films in Australia and you don't know whether they've come back or not, it sort of feels quite compelling that they might still be there.
It's something I was wondering about.
Yeah, but they couldn't also have been in Australia and in... Can anyone remember the date that Paul Vanezis gave when he naughtily peeled back that sticker?
Something March 67, 13th of March? No. Was it 13th?
67, I thought.
I think...
So they'd been to
whichever
Australia.
Whichever date it was that we knew that these censors examined them. And I think that was, it might be, well, if that was the 13th of March, then the date was 2 days later, 15th of March. And that was enough for him. We're assuming that that our listeners are up to speed with what
Don't
Mr.
think it's the date that they...
No,
I don't think
that's
it's
not
the
the
date
date
the
of the
censors
return.
examined them.
No, sorry.
It's the date that...
Their final decision.
It's the date that they made the final... Sydney made the final decision. They've apparently got paperwork from Sydney that says we're giving up on trying to sell these to ABC.
Right. So... But we don't know when they were back in the UK.
No.
But the 75 return is Australia, isn't it?
Yes.
Is Masterplan on?
No.
No, it's not.
Okay,
on
can I go through what I was what I've been thinking about this afternoon? Because there's a possibility, a very slim one, that this will actually make some sense because I've pre-thought it. But there's a human dimension to this because I'm thinking about what the the fan understanding is of the chance of seeing this. I mean, it's ups and downs. It's a real roller coaster ride. It started up because I read about the 12-part epic, the Daleks Masterplan, and I thought, well, this must be the best Doctor Who story ever. I need to see this. And then, for me, that was the program guide, 1981. And then not 5 minutes later, we discover that episodes remaining, Dalek Masterplan, none, and we're down again. And then, what's next? A couple of episodes found in 85. What?
Yes, the Mormon Church, or whatever it was.
Mormon Church, yes. A couple of episodes found, not particularly exciting ones. So I suppose that's both an up and a down, isn't it? And what I was wondering was, at what point enough research had been done into Doctor Who, the specifics of Doctor Who's sales, overseas sales, rather than just assumptions and rumours, that we became aware that it was only ever sent to Australia and never sold or screened anywhere else. Does anyone know off the top of their head? I mean, was that something we knew in the 80s or the 90s, or was it not till the 2000s when they found the sales rights top sheets? Let's go back to 85. When these two were found in the Mormon Church, all the chat was about the fact that it was a Mormon church, and much less about where they'd come from. Because it wasn't known at that point that it was an ex-BBC facility, there wouldn't have been quite so much reason to think that they were returns from abroad, I guess. Yeah, I'm not really sure what people assumed. So that didn't really change one's understanding of how likely it was. I feel like the next big, depending on the order of things, 2004, Day of Armageddon, a third episode is recovered. That's a big up. But did we already know that it was only sold to one country? Because at that point, if we didn't, it would have looked like good times were ahead. But once we found out that it was only ever sold in inverted commas to Australia, it suddenly plummets, and it becomes officially the least likely story to be found. But then comes the Omni rumour.
Yeah.
At that point, we do definitely know that it wasn't sold to Africa. So nobody bothers making up any rumours about it being found in a TIE store in Ghana, because even the biggest bullshitters know that that's not plausible. Although it doesn't stop somebody eventually rumours move on from Africa and onto Phil hoovering up private collector episodes, and there's this bizarre rumour about episodes 11 and 12 being found, and lest we forget, they were stuck together. There always has to be a twist. And they were not stuck to each other. They were each stuck to themselves.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Very important distinction. We haven't seen them yet, so presumably it was impossible to de-stick them. What a shame.
But at the same time, they were also found in Ireland.
I was going to say, and those were found in Ireland for some random? Yes.
It wasn't the ones that were stuck together that were found in Ireland, though. That was an entirely separate rumour, I think.
So it was a second set with DMP.
Yeah.
So certainly by November 2011, Paul Venezes had found the sales rights top sheets, and when he wrote his list for the BBC, who had discovered Phil's search, and Paul wrote a list of stories which he thought were possible based on the last known sales location, and this list included Mission and Masterplan for Australia, which suggests he thought it was possible enough to be. He certainly wasn't ruling out the possibility that they were there, which must mean what? I don't know. He had
wasn't Damien's. Yeah.
I don't know when
wasn't Damien Shanahan on that idea by that point.
Well, I don't know how long he'd been looking into that. He didn't make it public until February 2014. Damien.
Okay.
He was interviewed by Radio Free Skaro, and he talked about the Daleks Masterplan, and it was all new to us, we fans on the outside.
Yes.
This is where most of us heard about the Bond store for the first time. He had discovered that the store was held in a Bond store across the road from the ABC archives during that 12 months. There's this complicated thing about the fact they'd never legally, officially entered Australia.
Yeah.
So his theory was, because there's no record of a return, they may have stayed there in some sort of weird limbo.
Hmm.
So it was at that point, it was a question of tracing where the contents of the Bond store had been moved. And it all looked quite promising. And presumably, well, it's possible that Venezes knew about this 3 years earlier, which is why I included it on his list of possibles. Now, I remember, might have seemed a bit far-fetched at the time, but I seem to recall that privately it was claimed that the reason they were taken seriously is because there had been a sighting of Daleks Masterplan in the Bond store in the mid-80s. Does anybody else remember this? That was never included in the public discussion.
Cited next to a copy of Deep Throat, which was later debunked.
Oh, yes.
How's it debunked?
I can't remember. It's all on a Missing Episodes podcast I want to listen to.
Is that a comical reference to the fact that I was on it and should know?
No, it was in a later episode. Is it in the one? It's in the one with Reese.
Did it debunk the fact that Deep Throat was in the Bond store, or debunk the fact that Daleks Masterplan was next to it, or have you found Reese?
God.
Does it debunk this alleged sighting that we're not quite sure?
It's debunked.
Where it came from.
I remember it. It's not. The net result was that there was no truth to any of it. I can't remember why, but I'm glad
debunked. No, but I wish this information had been disseminated more widely than just in a podcast that nobody listens to. Only the most popular Doctor Who Missing Episode podcast of all time.
That's the whole problem with these things. That I remember the whole Deep Throat thing when you mentioned it, but I completely forgot it was debunked and can't remember any of the details of that. And that's always the problem with these things of tracing the meta-narrative of what we knew when and how our knowledge of it has changed.
Yes. This is what I've been trying to do, but it's not it's not simple if you can't be bothered to put the work in. Was it debunked to the extent that it seems like this sighting of Masterplan in a Bond store in the mid-80s must have been a hoax, or is it possible it was just a misunderstanding?
I can't remember.
Quite important, really. Oh, okay. Well, and then the last thing that happened was, because at this point we're all thinking, there's only ever one copy of Masterplan. We're never going to find any more of that. But about a year later, November 2014, Richard Molesworth, presumably as part of his research for Wiped, commented in a question and answer session that one key known unknown is how many film copies of each Doctor Who episode were made by Enterprises. And he said his current best guess that there would be a negative of each episode, yes, and then it would automatically make a number of positive copies in anticipation of sales. He says it would make sense from a financial point of view. Presumably it's more efficient if you run them all off at the same time. So he didn't know at that point how many prints were made. He says 2, 3, 6, certainly no more than 6. I don't know where he's getting this from. Had anyone suggested this before? That there would be an automatic order for a certain number of prints, because every story was sold. There had never been a story that didn't sell. I don't think it was, apart from Masterplan, there were no stories that sold to fewer than 4 countries, were there? And yes, there was bicycling, so you didn't always need that number of prints. But where did Molesworth suddenly get this theory from? He's positing a situation where there are a handful of sets of prints for every story on the shelves at BBC Enterprises. And that as sales are made, they each go out the door to some far-flung station. And that thus, when Daleks Masterplan didn't sell, there might have been several hanging around doing nothing in the UK, which, as he says, increases the possibility that these episodes could go walkies and end up in the hands of private collectors. It's possible he's invented this theory to account for the fact that 3 had shown up already, when, in theory, on paper, that was extremely unlikely to have happened.
It's a sort of anti-John Preddle.
Yeah, it was. Yes, exactly. At that point, they were definitely the two extremes, where John Preddle always trying to pare down the number of prints of any story to the absolute minimum required.
What's the minimum required?
As Molesworth was conjuring up fantasies of loads of them washing around. And there was also, I think there's also a suggestion that they might have been sent out, once it was clear they weren't going to sell, they might have been sent out as audition prints for countries that hadn't bought Doctor Who at all, just to use them up. It seemed very interesting at the time, but no, I don't really remember anyone following up on it. Maybe it's because it doesn't really change anything.
I suppose if you're committed to the idea that DMP did stay in Australia, those prints, then you've got to explain why there were prints around for Blue Peter to be borrowing in the early 70s, and then maybe that makes you think, okay, maybe they were running off copies in anticipation.
But is all this now settled because live on stage on Saturday, Paul Vanezis revealed that having peeled back the label on a film can, either episode 5 or 10, I can't remember which, it revealed the date seemed to align with the rejection by Masterplan by the Australian censors. And my understanding was that Paul Vanezis says that that is proof that copies of 5 and 10 that we now have are the Australian prints that were returned. Have I understood that correctly?
That is what he said.
So there's nothing on the can then that specifically says, it's not got a stamp of Australia on it or whatever. It's just a date that is suggestive of.
Yeah, it's just difficult to imagine what else. That date could refer to, and why else it might have been written on there, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's a slight tangent. The thing that amused me most, intrigued me most, was that, and he didn't throw anyone under the bus, but it had been assumed that those prints 5 and 10 weren't in the original cans for some reason, and it was more than just an assumption. I feel like we'd been told that they had definitely, that the biggest problem with this return was that they hadn't kept the original cans because they'd just thrown them away, put them in new plastic ones or whatever, and that had destroyed the archaeological trail. And it turned out that this was not true. This was an assumption, which I thought was hilarious. But where did it come from? Was it because that was the usual practice, or? I think it's in Preddle's article on the Mormon Church, isn't it?
I mean, the only problem with all of this is, right, that if we're trying to say that there's a single set of prints returned from Australia that could include 5 and 10, and potentially 2 and 1 and 3, the problem is that the 2 copies of 3, or the bit that the one that Blue Peter got their clips from, is, I understand, not the same as the one that we now have fully returned, because they are this different contrast on the film clips or something. So there's still 2 versions of 3 to account for, even if you think that everything else came from Australia.
But that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
1 and 3
the 1 and
we know
3
are not the Australian
copies.
returns.
Yeah,
they are cutting copies that never left the UK.
That's the second revelation.
So this proves.
I mean,
there are at least 2 copies of Masterplan in the UK.
It's
right.
Yeah, it's been quite a day of revelations. We know it's opened. It's introduced a lot of people to the idea of cutting copies. I mean, I'd forgotten that the 4 episodes of Ice Warriors were cutting copies as well. So now but these are the only 2 examples that we've ever seen, I think, of cutting copies. So, which is why there was still some confusion about what precisely it meant, but I think all that's been ironed out now, hasn't it? So some wise person said everyone's very excited by the thought. We suddenly know that every story had at least one more copy than we thought, because they all had a cutting copy for editing purposes. But that doesn't suddenly make them more likely to be found, because if the existence of these cutting copies was going to increase the probability of episodes being found, that would have become apparent over the last 40 years, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
regrettably,
regrettably...
in fact, we've only found 6 of them.
Yeah.
4 of them at the BBC and 2 of them in the wild. So, and if they existed for all stories, my point is that means it doesn't help us. It doesn't make the more obscure stories, the stories that sold to fewer countries any more likely to be found.
I mean, regrettably,
it's the same increase in odds across the board.
Even if all of these copies ended up in a skip or on the way to a skip and were liberated, even if lots and lots of film cans were liberated by former employees and ended up in the hands of film collectors of one sort or another, regrettably, a lot of those are also now languishing at the bottom of a skip, a dump somewhere
landfill.
because they've been thrown away over the years because for one reason or another. So that
was part of the discussion on Saturday. I mean, very late in the day, so it may not have made a lot of sense, but if it was absolutely routine to create at least one cutting copy of every episode, and possibly more depending on how much editing was needed, then it must also have been completely routine to dispose of them.
Yeah.
And presumably as quickly as possible, unless they were fed back into the system to be used as sales prints. But there appears to be no evidence of that. So anyway, as we were saying,
I have got to the bottom of the thing. I was pestering everyone around, desperately trying to remember all of last weekend, on Thursday and on Saturday, which is that Day of Armageddon. That's the print that came back from Francis Watson.
Yes.
And was at the
Ealing.
And was at a college, but was ultimately traceable to a projector testing room at Ealing Studios, which I wonder whether that's another possible fate of if it turned out to be a cutting copy. But who knows?
Yes, I mean that was part of the discussion when that was found, wasn't it? Episode 2. There was a theory. There's not really enough to be dignified with the term theory, but that once it was clear these episodes weren't going to be sold, they were so completely redundant that they were, just taken away to be used, as you say, for testing and any other purpose anybody could think of. Do we know for a fact that episode 2 isn't a cutting copy? Sorry, I feel like this is now going around in circles. Was that in its original?
No, I don't think we know.
That wasn't in its original can, was it? It was moved, and the original can was found.
That's the case with where the original can's gone. Like there's efforts have been made to track it down. Gav, I don't know whether you know anything more about whether that one's been located. Wasn't it?
I think it was cited in a university 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. University Film Club or something like that. And it would be very interesting to locate it.
So the two big headlines are cutting copies and Masterplan not only is not in Australia now, but was sent back earlier, was possibly the first ever set of prints to be returned to the UK.
Yeah.
Which means it could have gone back on the shelf, and that could have been what they were intending to use if they carried on trying to flog it until 1973, except if Molesworth was right that there was automatically an order for X number of prints of every story, which I can't believe we still haven't got to the bottom of that. But basically, it's both simultaneously expanding and narrowing the number of prints we're aware of. Australia was returned, well, that's -1, but cutting copies exist, well, that's +1. Possibly
it feels like it's Sierra Leone all over again, that somebody thinks they've seen something in an archive somewhere, and then somebody else says, oh no, it was returned to London years ago.
Yeah.
This has all the same hallmarks.
Are you implying you don't believe, Mr. V?
No. I'm just saying it's remarkably similar. That's all.
Okay. You're saying it's a cover story for finding it in a cinema?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying there are similarities in the narrative. That's all. But then, why not?
So the roller coaster has now sort of, I think, pretty much returned to the depot after all those up and downs, and we now we can relax and be fairly sure that there were fewer copies than for most stories, but possibly not that many, and more than one. And it's not as much of a miracle that Masterplan episodes keep popping up as we might have thought. But nor are we guaranteed that there will be more, unless they unstick 11 and 12.
Well, roll on. Roll on the next recovery. I really want to see the trailers now.
I mean, there are two sorts of missing episodes fan, aren't there? There are those who sit at home and have elaborate theories about why all sorts of stuff have happened. And then there are other ones who go off and rattle cages and doors and ask awkward questions of people and occasionally turn stuff up.
Mm.
And I guess each of them sort of supports the other to some extent.
Yes.
And then there are non-fans who actually go out and, find stuff. But they need our support too.
Yeah.
Do we know why episode 4 was in the BBC Film Library? Because unlike all the other, most of the other Who episodes that were in the BBC Film Library, it wasn't because it was recorded on 35mm originally. If it was a 16mm print, which suggests it had no reason being there.
Yeah. It probably just had no reason being there, but it was nonetheless there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is not that not everything, I mean, obviously there was a reason why it was there, but it may not have been a grand plan. It might just have, it was lying around one day and somebody chucked it in the film library, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. That's
there's nowhere better for it to be.
I apologise for my inquiring mind. I thought we were here to discuss the minutiae of an already rather obscure topic. Yes, I mean, yeah, maybe. But of course, that's carelessness on top of carelessness. We already have the carelessness the BBC, that Blue Peter took it out of the film library to show clips and didn't return it to the film library. So if it was put in the film library for no very good reason in the first place, then it's had rather tortuous.
Well, the only other reason,
journey.
I suppose, is it's been specially preserved because it's got those deaths on them, I suppose. It's been picked out as being a worthy of note because it's...
Oh, isn't that a myth, though, that's been talking of debunking? The idea that episodes were preserved because they were worthy of note was something that fans used to talk about a lot in the early days in the 80s. Because people wanted to make sense of the peculiar nature of some of the survivals. Anyway, whatever.
Do you have an alternative idea?
No, that's why I phrased it as a question.
I think we exhausted that topic now. Gav, are you still there? Is he frozen?
Only in body, but not in spirit.
I suppose we ought to quit while I'm behind on this discussion, but do we know if the other 4 episodes that this collector had that weren't missing were also cutting copies, which would suggest they all came from the same source?
I don't know, and I don't know if there were even labels on the cans. I presume the cutting copy label for Nightmare Begins is the only way we know that it's a cutting copy. I presume you can't tell by looking at it.
Yeah, or what I was referring to about 5 hours ago was Paul said that the bare minimum that would be done to a cutting copy, if there was no editing to be done to the main body of the program, is that you would trim off however much film there was at the beginning before the start of the program, which may be, they may have started it at an irregular point, and replace it with a leader of a consistent length, and that will be manually put on there. But then the print or the negative that was whatever was returned, the finished cutting copy, if that was returned as a negative, it would be, the leader would now be printed on and now be part of the film rather than so that it would be standard rather than being glued on. So that would apply to the lovely countdown we got, I guess. Yes, that's right. They cut off the clock. That's what he said. It would have had the clock, which was used in studio at the time of recording on it originally, and they'd cut that off and replace it with a countdown as used in
Countdown.
Yes, when displaying films in places that project films, such as cinemas and television studios in outposts of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I forget the details, but it was to do with lining up syncing the visual soundtrack with the optically recorded soundtrack, getting the optically recorded. Yeah.
So it was. That was also part
getting the optical recording alongside to run in sync alongside, because my vague recollection is that they have to run at different. They have to be able to sync by a certain amount, I think, because the machines run at the optical.
Yep.
The reader for the sound starts at there's a lag between one or the other, and so they have to be slightly out of sync. I think as they're printed, you don't have the soundtrack for a particular frame printed alongside it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I think the implication is
that sense of that stuff.
There's not actually that much use in the final analysis for our purposes, because the finished copy, the one that's approved, would be identical to the sales prints. Whether or not they actually used it as a sales print is beside the point. Goodness me. Still, I'm glad they found them.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. And on that bombshell.
Okay, well, look, thanks for your contributions, everyone, tonight. I mean, look, it's fantastic that we've been able to see these new episodes. Great that it's changed perceptions, as we've discussed. And fascinating always to think about whether there are other episodes out there yet to be discovered. But yeah, thanks for the chat tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I've contributed to this podcast ending on a massive downer, where all I can see is a sea of glum, disillusioned, bitter, and frankly hateful faces. So sorry about that. Can you believe they found 2 more episodes of Daleks Masterplan? Famously, the story least likely to be found, unless it wasn't.
Yeah.
And they were part 1 and 3. They dovetail. They're brilliant. They dovetail so nicely with 2. We don't deserve to be this lucky. I mean, it could have just been another episode of Galaxy 4 and Underwater Men, couldn't it? Yeah. Or some other brand. It could have been the bloody Mythmakers 4 and Celestial Toymaker 3. But no, we got the Holy Grail.
It could have been 6 episodes that we already had.
True.
Like that bloke with the episodes in his shed. It's been known.
Follow that, as they say.
Great. I'm going to say my outro bit, just because at least it'll sound like the same time that it was recorded. Thanks for listening to Something Who. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. If you check out our feed, there's loads of others for you to listen to while you're waiting for the next one to land. We're aiming to make Something Who recordings about once a month, but it's just a fun thing we do in our spare time. So I guess despite this explosion of missing episode material recently, please be patient with us if it takes a little longer to get the next one out. But we hope to be back soon with more thoughts on Doctor Who, old and new.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Ta-ra.
Bye. Thanks. Yeah.
Bye. Well done, everyone.
It's 1:10 in the morning.
We're all still alive.
We are indeed, yeah.
Oh God, this cat's about to destroy my audio setup. Don't go that way. Just go this way. What are you doing?
It's the old Catic energy.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, just come here. Paul, are you struck with awe, or is your camera frozen?
I think we've lost him.
My phone died, and that's why I disappeared. Yeah. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, okay.
We've all gone. We're all taking in turns to drop out. Well, I'll give him a minute to return for the final bombshell roundup.
Maybe we shouldn't have left this bit till last. It seemed like a good idea at the time. But it should either have gone at the beginning or in the middle or at the end, or I shouldn't have said any of it. Maybe that's. Yeah, maybe that's.
I think there's a jewel in there that just requires a little bit of polishing.
That's better than a turd that requires polishing. So I'll take that. Thank you.
Yeah.